Welcome in, everybody. 406 and Goal, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm your host, Dominique Arkaki, joined me by Aiden Hauser. It's good to be with you guys live. Not live. But now we can see our faces. This is me. This is Aiden. It's good to be with you all. Alrighty, let's get right into it. First off, we just want to kind of introduce ourselves for any new listeners, any new gathering that we can find on YouTube. 406 and Goal is just a podcast that we started originally last year with just myself and Aiden here, and we just wanted to talk about fantasy football and record and just see what happens. We did it the whole season, all the way from the fantasy draft to the championship just this last weekend, and so it's been fun. We've enjoyed it, and we wanted to kind of step up a little bit, get on YouTube. So here we are, live. We'll still have the podcast, so don't worry. We'll still be out there on Spotify and Apple.
That's right.
But let me just introduce myself. I've been in the fantasy football community for about 7 years. I'm surprised about since you've been playing since 13 years old. That's crazy. No way. I don't believe that for a second. But I guess so. I've been only playing for 7 years, so I don't have as much experience as Aiden over here. But I have 2 championships and 3 second place teams during that time frame. This last year, I will admit, I got 11th out of 12. So this last year is coming off a rough loss. I had that Urban Meyer treatment. The team didn't really respect me. But, I was staying out in Cincinnati. That's my fault. Anyways, I guess for my kind of style of play, it would be very risky. I like to hit big trades. I like to offer trades to everybody, and I'm going to lowball you. That's for sure until I get you to the sweet spot. I also like to take shots on guys from the waivers, and not just like your big-time waiver ads, but guys that I think will just have that one game in the season that they actually score a touchdown. It's kind of fun to play that way. But as you can see, just as this last year, 11th place. Not good. So, I'm not going to change my style up. That's for sure.
Good.
Who are you, Aiden?
Who am I?
Who are you?
Aiden Hauser. I've been playing fantasy football since Nick said earlier, since I was 13 or so, give or take a couple of years, maybe like a year actually. Right. But it was on and off for those first few years when I was a kid. But
did you even have a phone?
I didn't have a phone. I actually just played it on a laptop that I had at my house.
That's
just like my older cousins and nice. Like aunts and uncles back in California.
Not bad.
So I've been playing close to 10 years. I'm a huge New England Patriots fan. And love watching them play on game day, regardless if they win or lose. For the last few years, it's been a little more losing than winning. I know they're out. Super big bummer. But yeah, growing up, I've super nerdy, but I've always liked math and like statistics and like facts and stuff. And growing up liking football, compare those two together, seems like you've got fantasy football. But yeah, the way I play is like I'm not as much of a risk taker. I'll kind of just take a swing on some guys that I like, which you guys should know by now. And then I will like a couple of risky trades here and there, and take a chance on sleepers. But I like my guys that I like. Yeah. And I kind of just roll with it and see what happens.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Real quick, just throwing this in there on the spot. Let's do a coach comp. Who do you think is me when you think of coaches and my style and my record and all that good stuff? And I'll think of one for you.
Okay, I got one for you already.
You do?
Yeah. I'll say you're like Sean McVay.
Yeah.
I love it. Just last year,
retire.
Or I guess 2 years ago now, you were on almost top of the world.
Yeah, just about.
Except he was on top of the world there.
He was. He did win. Yeah.
And then this year they are awful. And that's how you were. You went from
a great point.
Star to nothing.
That's a great point. I like
you
that.
done quick.
For you, I'm gonna say Brandon Staley. Just kind of, you got the talent, but man, just mediocre.
I just won.
Well, let's see what the Chargers do this year. They made it to the playoffs. We don't know. I guess the more of the comparison is because you're pretty conservative with your play, but yet when you do want to jump out, you do get it. Um, the way you motivate your team, it's a little lackluster, but they get the message. And I think your job's on the line here.
Okay.
Actually, no, you just won. Sorry.
My job's definitely on
I
the
really
line.
can't say anything. My job's on the line.
Yeah, your job's on the line there, Chief.
Right on. Well, we're gonna get into some news. Here's a cool transition. News. Poof, news. No, sorry, we're cheap. We don't have that kind of production yet.
Nope.
This is it. This is it. This is what
It's
you
our
get.
first video.
This is our first video, though. So, hey, we got some growing to do. And I'm all about it. But we're going to talk about the College National Championship, which just happened yesterday between Georgia and TCU. Georgia, 65. TCU, 7. That's like a high school blowout. My high school definitely, I didn't get to play when they got blown out. I didn't play because I didn't want to. But man, I've seen some bad ones. And that's embarrassing. It's the national championship. How can you lose 65-7? But
it didn't even look like TCU wanted to be.
Yeah, it did not. And they were just outclassed, offense, defense, special teams.
And it's bad because they played. It sucks. They played some really good games.
They beat
some
Michigan.
really good teams.
They beat Michigan.
But I do think if Michigan or Ohio State went, it would have been a way closer game.
Yeah.
And one of those other two teams could have won.
Yeah. I mean, that Ohio State Georgia game was awesome. It went down to the last kick.
Yeah.
And then Georgia won. So
I think if Marvin Harrison was healthy, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
was healthy in that game, the whole game, they probably could have won.
They could have. And I'm going to talk about some of the studs from Georgia and TCU, the names that everybody knows. We got Stetson Bennett. He's old as Lamar, same age. And Lamar's been playing for 4 years now?
Something like that,
I think 4 years. Personally, I don't think he's that gifted. I think he got some good wheels. He can run. But I don't know. I feel like if you're in college football for that long, there's a reason why he didn't try to go up to get drafted or declare for the draft, because maybe nobody wanted him. But we'll see. There's been oh man, Ben just reminded me of the name. Is it Brandon Whedon? That was like super old.
Yeah.
He got drafted. I mean, he'll be a solid backup quarterback. I think one day Stenson will be, but I don't think he's your leader of the team. And you know who I think takes him? Bill Belichick.
I hope not.
I don't like him. Well, I mean, I feel like Bill is going to draft a lot of the Georgia players. Like McConkey, a good white receiver. Brock Bowers, great tight end, white. I mean, who knows? But I'm going to start with, I just did Stetson Bennett. But honestly, I think he's like a 5th or 6th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He might be Mr. Irrelevant. I don't know.
Brock Purdy too.
I don't think he'll be Mr. Irrelevant with how he performed. I think he'll go in the 4th or 5th. But yeah,
I think he's gonna go later than that.
Really?
I think he could be 6th, 7th, or even undrafted.
Dang.
With how old he is, he's pretty small.
I think somebody's got to try him out, put him on their team. It can't hurt.
It's just a new era of football. It's like everyone wants those big, fast quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That can just take a beating.
He's not
and can throw the ball 80 yards in the air.
Yeah. And Max Duggan could be that kind of type of guy. He's the TCU quarterback, but man, he struggled this last game. I think he threw 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah. Had
a fumble. And it was rough. He got sacked. I don't know how many times. I don't want to say over 10, but it might have been. It was insane. He couldn't do anything. He had negative 38 rushing yards. Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah, I looked it up earlier today. I couldn't believe that. But I still think that he's a solid quarterback. I don't think he gets taken above CJ Bryce or Will Levis or even
Richardson.
Is
his name Richardson? No, what's his name? Anthony Richardson, yeah.
Anthony Richardson. I don't think he gets drafted before those guys. But I'd say definitely higher than Stenson. I'd say probably like 3rd round, 4th round maybe. But I don't know. He's good. He was a Heisman finalist. Didn't get there or didn't win it, but he was up there. So, and he showed this year that he's got a cannon. He's got the size, and he can run too. He can take off. He's kind of like a Danny Dimes, I'd compare him to. And kind of love the 2 guys on each team. I'll just touch on Brock Bowers and Adonai. Mitchell. They're not eligible for the draft. They'll be eligible 2024. But man, they'll Brock Bowers for sure. That's a tight end. That's like a Taysom Hill kind of guy.
Think so?
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He can be like finally a breath of fresh air in the tight end world. And we just hope that he doesn't end up like Kyle Pitts, where he has like all the gifts, but they don't throw the ball at him. And on the TCU, we got Quentin Johnson and Kendre Miller. Kendre got hurt. He's the running back for TCU, number 33, but he's NFL bound, and he's a solid running back. He's not Bijan Robinson, but he's up there. I think maybe end of the second, beginning of the third. I wouldn't be surprised if a team that needs a running back takes a shot. Because he's special. He's good. He's got that vision. He can catch the ball too. I can't remember. It's pretty high, the number of reception he has over his career at TCU. And then Quentin Johnson, he's your big, fast Chase Claypool type receiver. Got shut down in the championship game. One catch, I think for 8 yards one catch 8 yards or something like that, which is not what you want to see in the big spotlight. So we'll see about him. I think he could go to maybe like a Packers or
he could be the first receiver taken.
I don't think so. Not after that performance.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
I think he still might.
I think they'd take
maybe the second
Ohio State guy, Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they'd take him over him, but we'll see. But both of them, I mean, both those guys are guys to look out for. And it's just kind of interesting to see where, the big time champs go. We've seen what Joe Burrow and those the Tigers did, that national championship team. Trevor Lawrence is another one. So who knows? Stinson could prove me wrong, but I'm gonna say right here, I don't think he's gonna be that good. He's a bust. Alrighty.
I don't think he'll be a bust because he's not gonna be a first round pick. So
good point. Good point.
I don't think so.
Let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah, so we'll talk about some unsung heroes, just to keep an eye on for next year, when it comes to the playoffs in the NFL world. Last year, Gabe Davis really took the league by storm with that huge
4 touchdown.
Yeah, it was like 200 receiving yards or something.
Absurd. Against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, there's some guys who are. I mean, Gabe Davis could do it again.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of people who could do it again, but we're gonna kind of go over a couple players that we think are under the radar, so to speak. Maybe they have some other players at the position that are stars, but guys to keep an eye out for next year in your fantasy drafts, because a good rule of thumb is to take players on good teams because they're going to put up good amount of points. So one that we've got, James Cook. I know me and you have talked about him a good bit. I think me and you both like him to some extent.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's younger brother. It's not quite the same runner as Dalvin. Dalvin's just bigger.
Yeah, he's a little bigger.
I don't know if he's faster. I'm sure I bet they're both
pretty close.
But yeah, James Cook. His carries in the last few weeks, and even throughout the season, have been pretty spotty. Go up and down. Like, I don't think he's really.
He's never had a full workload.
A full workload, yeah. Hasn't surpassed Singletary. But I mean, he has shown flashes that like he does have skill.
Yeah.
That he could make it as a solid running back. So I mean, there's a possibility next year that he replaces Devin Singletary. Because he was a pretty early draft pick, I believe. Was he like 3rd round, I think? Or was he even 4th? Maybe even 4th.
I don't know. Yeah.
But I mean, that's still a decent amount of draft capital.
Yeah.
For the Bills to like not even at least consider him being their guy.
I think they do. I think they replace him with Devin, or
really?
I mean, they replace Devin with James next year, and they might even shop Devin because there's so many running back trades that go on every offseason. I mean, they're already at the free agent. Like Miami's whole running back room has changed within just super short amount of time.
Yeah, even just starting out with Edmonds and then moving to Mostert and then who was it? What's his name? I always forget his name. From the Niners.
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson just showing up.
Yeah. What about that next guy?
Yeah, the next guy, J.K. Dobbins. It's
an interesting one.
I did not like him coming into the year because he was just cheap. He was freshly off that huge this
Achilles?
knee. It was just everything. It was like ACL, MCL, or whatever. It was like the whole ordeal.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, the last few weeks he's looked pretty decent, and he's had a really big workload.
Mm-hmm.
This Sunday will be interesting because he's not expected to play.
He's not?
No, I don't think he's
Wow.
expected to play. I don't remember seeing what injury he has, but it said he's not expected.
I know I had Kenyon Drake in that week 18 for the Megalo Bowl. Didn't play him, but he went off.
Yeah, but I mean, so we don't really know what he could do unless he comes back next week, and the Ravens would have to win, obviously.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Right. But I think if he does come back, he could be in for a decent amount of
And this
carries.
is for next year to draft?
This is for just to keep an eye on, see how he plays this year in the playoffs,
playoffs.
to see kind of how he handles it. I still think, though, even if he doesn't
I think he
play,
has to play this playoff game, or else he's not gonna, because I don't think they beat the Bengals.
I don't think so either. But I mean, the last 4 games that J.K. Dobbins had have like been really solid. So just last week was against Pittsburgh. He had 17 carries for 93 yards, averaged 5.5 yards a carry. The week before, he didn't have a ton of yards, but it was still 12 for 59, which is just a shade under 5 yards a carry. And then before that, he played that was Atlanta. And then he played Cleveland the week before. He had 125 yards on 13 carries, which is almost 10 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And then against Pittsburgh, he had 15 for 120 and a touchdown, which is like decent numbers.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But something that's interesting that I keep remembering is you don't want to take guys who are like fresh off of an injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Saquon last year was rough because he had that huge knee injury the year before.
Yeah.
But this year he was a beast.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Dobbins is the same type of player, but like he's had enough.
It could happen.
To maybe he has a whole offseason.
He could have like a Josh Jacobs season next year. That's definitely something to look at.
So yeah, keep an eye out on for J.K. Dobbins.
And oh my gosh,
the last guy
is just a homer.
He's just everywhere. I talk about him all the time. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Same old story.
Everybody's gonna go for Trevor now.
Same old story. I love Trevor. You love Trevor.
He's good.
He's got a beautiful mane.
He does.
He's a good Christian man.
I mean, it's the battle of the mains this coming up. I mean, Jaguars versus Chargers.
That's right, long-haired guys.
Battle of the mains.
Cali boys.
They're both good-looking Cali boys, just slinging rocks.
That's right. But I think this game's big because it really shows. It's really going to show how Trevor handles adversity. He's never been the underdog. Like he's always been like the guy. And now they're in the playoffs here as like the final or like one of the lowest wild card seeds.
I mean, he's one of the out of all of the fans or the playoff quarterbacks, he's like down at the bottom. I mean, with Brock Purdy and Geno.
Right. So I mean, I think it's going to be a very telling game of, or very very telling of how he plays. I don't even know.
This kind of rolls me into the next segment, which I mean, did you take Trevor as your quarterback in the NFL Fantasy Playoff Challenge?
I did not.
What?
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Why?
No, I don't know. Maybe I just don't trust him enough. I would probably trust him next year enough, but not this year. There's better options. But yes, Aiden and I are doing the NFL Fantasy Playoff Challenge, and if you guys would like to join, you guys can just email us at 406ndgoal@gmail.com, and we'll start our own NFL Fantasy Playoff Challenge, or I can invite you to the one that I'm currently in, which is with the Fantasy Footballers. Unless you're already with them, great. We'll see the standings. But yeah, how does the Playoff Challenge work for those who don't know?
All right, let me see if I can rattle this off correctly.
In 10 words or less.
Oh man, I don't know if I can do 10 words. I can probably do 9 words.
Okay, let's see it.
No. Essentially, you just have players to pick from any. It's like fantasy football. So you have your quarterback, receiver, running back, tight end, defense, kicker.
Mm-hmm.
That you can pick from any playoff team. And each. So this is wild card week. You can pick, honestly, any starter at this point.
Yep, anybody. 14 teams.
Even wild card or
the
teams
bye.
who have the bye or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next week, any of those players you have right have a multiplier times 2, and those bye players do because they technically won their first game.
But you don't get any points that first week. Could lose.
You could.
Yeah. So that's the strategy, isn't it? It's about picking your guys right and the bye guys, which is a huge debate because you don't get any points that first week, but you'll get double the second week if. I mean, you don't lose out in the first week, right? You keep playing.
I think it's it's whoever has the most points at the end,
of the year.
At the end of the once Super Bowl's over.
That makes sense.
And yeah, like
so this week one is the most important then.
Arguably, yeah. No, yeah.
I mean, it's where the most differences can be had and where people can separate. Well, let's hear. I'll go through my lineup first since you just talked about some of the guys to look out for and explain it for us. Well, my lineup, I'm going to start with my quarterback, who is none other than Josh Allen. Was he the number one choice or was the most selected? I believe he was above 50%.
I think he was the most selected this week.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen, and it's tough because that Patrick Mahomes is nice because you know that he will shred, the first week of the regular playoffs, and that double points will be nice. But Josh Allen, I saw enough on week 18 this last week. I saw all I needed to see from him. He's just launching Hail Marys like it's Madden. And I mean, some like 60 yards across the field, just dots. And I mean, they got the Dolphins coming up this week at Orchard Park. And so I'm excited to see that game. And I know Josh Allen. And I mean, they're playing for DeMar and all that. And you can tell the team is rallied.
Right.
Like they're ready to go. So I like Josh, and I'm going to roll with just the momentum there. My running backs, I got Christian McCaffrey for my one. He was also the number one pick for this week. He's the best running back out of all of the running backs in the playoffs. He's on one of the better running teams in the playoffs, and his usage is insane. And he's a touchdown machine. So that was an obvious one. Seattle is actually, I feel like an underrated defense here in the playoffs. They're pretty feisty, and I think come playoff time, Pete Carroll can get those boys humming. But we'll see. I think he'll do fine. And Joe Mixon against the Ravens, I think Joe will pop off this game. You never know with Joe. He can have 5 touchdowns on you, or what was it? Was it 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. He can have 5 touchdowns on you one day, and maybe some days give you 40 yards and nothing, drop catch. But I'm gonna roll with Joe. I like this matchup against the Ravens. It's in division, and it's not in division now, but technically they've been playing each other a lot, so they know each other well. I think it'll rely on the ground. My wide receivers is going to be Justin Jefferson, which should be no surprise. Giants actually have a pretty decent secondary, and the first time they played, we won by a field goal, and he did pretty decent. I think it was like 120-something yards and a touchdown. So I'm not really worried about Justin Jefferson, and after that, he had a good week 18, so I think he'll be fine for the playoffs. And then my second wide receiver is Jamar Chase, and I kind of like that combo with. I just think I have a good feeling about the Bengals just pouring it on the Ravens like they did last year. And tight end, I'm going to go through that as Kelsey. I'm going to take the bye week. I'm going to get those double points coming week 2 for Travis Kelsey. He's the best tight end out of all of them. I mean, besides George Kittle, it's really that's it. And then kicker, Justin Tucker for the Ravens. I think the Bengals defense will do a good job holding them, especially if they don't have Lamar Jackson. And my defense will be San Francisco. Best defense in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your team.
Yep, I went a little risky actually, which is uncommon, out of character. I pretty much loaded up on players from the teams that I think are going to go to the Super Bowl. So I got my quarterback with the first round bye, so he'll have double points next week.
Who's that guy?
Patrick Mahomes.
It
doesn't matter what defense he's playing. Like he's going to light it up. He's just too good. Running back. 2 running backs are McCaffrey. He's basically the Patrick Mahomes at running back.
Yeah.
It's like he's unguardable. He'll get 30 touches. He'll get 10 carries. Heck, he can even get 20 catches if that were to ever happen to a running back, would be him.
Yeah, that'd be impressive.
My RB2 is McKinnon. He's Christian McCaffrey light.
Yeah.
He's been going off the last few weeks, and it seems like Mahomes really likes him. So
Yeah.
I'll take that receiving usage there as well.
Right on.
My receivers are I'm going a little I don't even know, gutsy.
It is gutsy.
These guys aren't stars. Well, one is, but my wide receiver one will be AJ Brown once again on that bye.
Double points.
Just because the only reason I took Brown is because I don't like any of the receivers on Kansas City. And then my wide receiver two is
that's fair.
Not Debo but Ayuk. I think Ayuk is more of a pure receiver. I think he's a more talented receiver
than Debo.
I think Debo is a better playmaker.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an actual like down the field receiver. He's more like a catch the screen, catch the slant, take it 80 yards kind of guy.
That's a good point.
Tight end Kelsey. That's a no brainer. Kicker Robbie Gould. Once again, just because he's on the Niners, I'm gonna get some points from that. And then defense is also San Francisco. They have the best defense in football, and they're playing a Geno Smith-led offense. Geno hasn't had a bad year, but I don't think he's ever played in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's never started in the playoffs.
No, definitely not started. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, I am so excited for this wild card weekend. It's kind of nice to have the stress of fantasy football off.
Right.
Of like each week, like having your team ruin or make your day really
We
good.
can actually enjoy football now.
You can just enjoy football, just watch it, enjoy the drama and all the serendipity that the NFL unfolds for us. You can let us know if it's rigged or not. You can let us know if you want to see Aiden and I play Madden live on Twitch. You just give us a comment, and we'll make that happen. We can even let you guys bet on who's gonna win. It'll be fun. You just let us know. But the biggest thing that we want to get all your attention about is 406th and Dynasty, which is our Dynasty League that we are starting for the listeners and for our friends. And Dynasty, real quick, just the basics. Once we get enough people, we'll kind of go into like what it's really about and the details of it. We'll probably have a whole episode on like how do you draft Dynasty, like what guys to look for, all things like that. But we just need people to sign up. So email us 406andgoal@gmail.com with your sleeper ID. It could be your sleeper username. It could even be just your own email that I'll get from that, and I'll be able to get in contact and get you guys on the Dynasty League. We're debating right now whether we want to make it a paid league or not, just to have something on the line. We'll see about that. But we want to try and get this draft done before the actual NFL draft, just so that we can have a little bit of chaos there.
Right.
And a little bit makes it a little bit more interesting because each draft pick you take, you got to think, could this guy be traded? And if he does get traded, well, I like that situation. Maybe it'll work out really good. You never know. Like you could draft AJ Brown, last year, and he was on the Titans.
Right.
And boom, he's on the Eagles. And you're just like, what? It's like, that's awesome. And also we will be doing, since we'll draft before the NFL draft, we'll have a second small draft, which will be a taxi draft for the rookies. And we'll be able to get about, I believe, 4 rookies on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll set that up later. It'll be a lot of fun, but please join in and email us with your info so we can get you added. And once we got a full 12, and we're gonna let it rip so we can get back into fantasy football.
Back into the football.
Back into the drafting. But anyways, we thank you guys for watching. This is 406 and Goal. We are out.